Ugh, I swear, every time I try to finally finish my video on Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe, something else happens in the FGC. This time, we get to talk about Skullgirls, specifically the recent controversy surrounding the changes being made to some of the characters in the art book that was bought by fans. There are swings being taken left and right from every side, trying to make any sense of these relatively minor changes. So how did we get here? Why did this blow up? And why is everyone somewhat in the wrong on every front? Let's talk about it. Before we start, hi, I'm Zak Not Kyle, Zak for short, and I talk about video games as they pertain to creative writing and popular culture. I'm currently studying for my BFA and MFA in English and creative writing respectively, and I'd love if you stuck around for some funny, goofy content. Subscribe with the silly red button, like this video, and comment your thoughts on the situation below, and without any further ado, let's get into this mess. So we need to give a little bit of general background in order to understand why Skullgirls changes resulted in such backlash. For those of you who don't know, Skullgirls is a 2D fighting game created in 2012, and even back then it was spicier than it was prior to the 2023 quality of life changes implemented. As early as 2015, the developers over at Lab Zero were already toning a couple things down with the art of the game. Now though, the changes are slightly more drastic. The culture of the Skullgirls community was already sort of a breeding ground for this impending backlash though. First of all, the sexualization of the characters on the roster was definitely a part of the appeal for Skullgirls. I think that this could lean in two different directions depending on how you look at it, being fan service and body positivity. Sexuality being expressed appropriately with specific characters and showing off their bodies in a way that isn't objectifying is something that I will applaud Skullgirls for doing. You can tell that their characters are powerful, strong, and emboldened, and not sexualized for the sake of being sexualized. However, not everyone is going to grasp this and will objectify them regardless. The one character that, even before this, a few people took issue with was Philia. Philia is a schoolgirl character who in the story mode is SA'd by Ricardo, another character. Samson, being the real one that he is, almost kills the guy, saying he deserved it. Samson is a feminist confirmed? Hell yeah. The big problem with all of this? Well, Philia's undergarments are fully on display in the shot, and Ricardo also slaps her ass. Philia is 16. I literally just don't understand how people are mad about that change. This is a child. Now you may be asking, Zach, why is this bad? What if the age of consent is supposed to be 16, like in other countries like Canada or the UK? To that I say, this game takes place in a fictional rendition of the late 1940s in the United States. Also, this game was developed in the United States, where the age of consent is, say it with me everyone, 18. Like, oh man, this is some bad optics. Skullgirls developers explained that they'd be changing these things around Philia, like not letting her undergarments change colors, have her underwear on display in art photos, etc. Honestly, this does seem pretty inoffensive, covering up a 16-year-old a little more to stop her from being as sexualized. Always a good move. The next change was in regard to Parasol and the Egrets. Parasol and the Egrets have some imagery that is slightly referential to the one hate group I can't say on my channel because I like my videos not being suppressed. The armbands for the Egrets and Parasol were changed to not be red with a logo in the center and several art pieces and color palettes. So they made these changes, and again, it doesn't seem bad. I think this is just a correction of optics. The next set of changes was in regard to some voice lines and voice packs and removing the Soviet voice pack. There were also changes to small racial and sensitivity problems with Big Band in particular. Again, none of this seems bad at all. It's just optics that the devs thought would be a good idea to change up for the betterment of the game, especially with Skullgirls becoming bigger in the FGC. So now we're left in a situation that probably shouldn't have been that weird. A couple people mad on Twitter over the updates and a solid quality of life change to the game. Instead, we're witnessing one of the wildest downfalls of a game franchise I've seen in a minute. The game got review bombed on Steam into oblivion, the retweets are insane, and the comments on every post are being ratioed into the ground. Now, do I think that the fans are necessarily bad people for wanting these changes to not be implemented? Personally, I don't think everyone wants to stare at the underwear of a 16-year-old girl or keep hate group imagery in the game. I think people are just more frustrated with how the dev team went about it, which is something I haven't touched on. First of all, the biggest point of contention here is the art book. The art book for Skullgirls is being altered quite a bit in a bunch of minor ways that would change the product they already released. I do see this as bad optics. I think it would be better to discontinue this art book and just just make a new one if these changes were that pressing. The way the dev team went about it kind of just slapped their fans in the face, even if it was justified. A lot of the comments I'm seeing on Twitter are kind of just saying that, hey, we don't think it was bad that they changed this thing, but they went about it in a very strange way. Maybe making a third encore would have been better, or just make a new art book and fix things up along with the color palettes and minor character changes. Skullgirls is becoming a bigger franchise with each new character and tournament, and a few people in the comments of Twitter threads of the Skullgirls haters have stated that this was literally just a preemptive measure. Although I would argue to say that both of the major sides of this argument can be seen as wrong. The one side defending Autumn Games and Lab Zero's choices are falsely applying labels to Skullgirls fans that they just aren't. On the other side, people defending this are doing so for the right reasons in practice, but further context is what kills their argument. Developers altering the already paid for content is just a weird thing to do, although the changes were minor. Now this is opening up a lot of concerns about the future of Skullgirls, which is a game intended to be risky and a little more on the perverse side of things. Fan service will forever be in the game, that's always going to be the case. Looking over the individual changes, that's not going to change, and a lot of big creators are stating it as fact, as if they are going to change all of this. That's straight not true. Saying that the developers are alienating the audience is not the take you think it is, it's literally just optics altering. The other big thing being brought up as of late is the fact that Mike Z, the original creator of Skullgirls, who got kicked out from his own game over some SA claims, is releasing a new fighting game that has its trailers dropped a few weeks before this announcement. To be honest, this didn't seem to be too targeted or anything. I think it just added up really weird considering the fact that the changes to Skullgirls are happening right after its original creator drops trailers for their new game. Honestly, I think people are just a little bit too conspiratorial about all of this. The games are separate apart from one person. Just leave it be. And reminder, we do not support Mike Z in this household, just saying. So what is the moral of the story? Everyone is taking things way too far, oh my god. I think the only people in the right here are the devs themselves. Everyone on the two big sides of this argument are making the absolute wrong assumptions about each other. The real people in the right are the devs for understanding their mistakes and the community who is able to see these changes with a light of nuance. Yeah, they went about it the complete wrong way and they probably should have just handled it a little differently, but I can definitely understand the place they're coming from. Hopefully everyone else finds the changes to not be as bad as they seem, and those hating on the Skullgirls developers for even having these things in their game to begin with will notice the steps they took to make things better. And with that, I think that's gonna do it for today. So let me know what you guys think. Is there any characters that you're playing in Skullgirls recently? Are you still playing Skullgirls after this controversy? What are your takes? Have you seen some of the altered artwork, and what is your take on it? Is there any way this game can redeem itself in the eyes of its fans? Let me know down below. And with that, I'm finally going to finish MK vs. DC. The video is like 35 minutes and I can't finish it because everything keeps happening all at once. Okay, bye sis!